There was a tense atmosphere aboard the Infinity spaceship. It was not just a research flagship, but a huge space city, where each crew member had an important role to play. The need to be on guard at all times was a particular concern. There could be traitors on board, eager to sabotage. Mark stood at the monitor, charging the energy cells. He was an engineer, and his ability to move quickly through the ventilation shafts had helped the crew more than once. However, he was sometimes plagued by the thought that someone might misinterpret his actions. Engineers, useful though they were always suspicious, for their ability to move through the vents could resemble that of traitors. Walking through the engineering bay, Mark saw Amelia, one of the crew's scientists. She was anxiously reviewing the data on her tablet. "Amelia, is something wrong?" Mark asked, stepping closer. Amelia looked up with concern in her eyes. "I've been monitoring the crew's pulse. One of the crew members recently had sudden spikes in his pulse, but now the signal is completely gone." They realized that this could only mean one thing. Someone had been killed. Only a few minutes passed before a loud signal sounded, calling everyone to a meeting. When everyone was gathered in the main room, the captain announced what had happened. The signal Amelia had just lost belonged to Jake, one of the ship's best mechanics. The investigation began. As is tradition, everyone put forward their suspicions. It turned out that Jake had last been seen in the reactor room next to the engineering bay. All eyes turned to Mark. "I was in the engineering bay, but I did a quick check of the main switchboard and didn't see Jake," he tried to justify himself. Amelia held the clipboard in front of her at the same time, checking the crew members' pulse readings. They were nervous, and she could see it on her screen. Another burst of activity caught her attention. Someone's readings changed dramatically. But someone turned out to be Simon, a man normally calm and poised. "Simon, where were you when Jake's signal went out?" Amelia asked suddenly, her gaze settling on Simon. I was on the bridge, checking the navigation." Simon started to answer, but his voice shook. "Amelia, are you seeing this?" pronounced Jenny, the comm officer. She noticed how nervous Simon was. Amelia nodded. Mark, realizing that their fate was now being decided, entered the conversation. "I can move anywhere on the ship through the vent and check it out," he offered. "If I'm right, I might be able to find some traces that will point to the traitor." The captain approved the plan. Mark quickly concealed himself in the ventilation shaft, heading for the reactor room where Jake had disappeared. To his surprise, he found the ill-fated screwdriver with the sticky prints that belonged to Simon. Soon after Mark's return, the evidence was presented to everyone. All eyes focused on Simon, the traitor who turned out not to be as cunning as he believed. The vote was quick. Simon had removed himself from the ship, and the crew could be assured, at least for a little while, that they were now safe. Amelia and Mark looked at each other with relief. They knew there was more to come, and they could not relax. They had to keep all their strength and skills ready to deal with all the threats lurking in the darkness of space.